We had everything from the complexity of healthcare reform to the inspiration from a patient point of view, and now I get to talk to you about channel mix optimization. So I'd like to thank the organizers for putting me in order after two very exciting topics. I'll try to bring some excitement to this one. So my title is Implementing New and Innovative Communication Channels to Deliver Relevant Customer Messaging. So after I read that, the first thing I say is, I'm sorry, what? I'm sure at the time I probably came up with this title about 6 months ago when they asked me to speak at the conference, but in many ways I think it's representative, and what I'd like to speak to are those of you in the room who now are charged with going back to your companies or supporting the companies you work with to actually do some of this stuff that everyone's going to talk about here at the conference. And how do you make this happen within an organization? And so you start off with a big grandiose title like that. You may even be anointed part of a team to go figure this out for your company. And what you really want to be careful of is making sure you follow an approach that's very practical and simple. And so you need to kind of step back within the organization and say, I'm sorry, what? And where you have to start is, what's your real intent? And if I leave you with nothing today, I'd like to leave you with the thought that it's not about the channel. It's really not about the individual channel. It's about the mix and the approach that you put together that ultimately will achieve this concept of relevance. But again, in practical terms, how do I get started? First thing you should ask yourself is, what's my goal? Do I want to try something new? Perhaps we've had a very traditional approach at my company, and there's a new channel that's established, but we haven't participated. We need to try it out and see how it's relevant for our organization. It's not a bad goal to have. It's also a pretty good starting point. Maybe I want to try something innovative. I've tried some traditional things. They seem to be working, but we really want to step outside the box and do something different, something disruptive that's going to drive some differentiation for our message into the marketplace. Also a good intent to be clear about going into, but maybe a different approach than just trying a new channel. And the last is relevant. You can say, oh great, Dennis, this is really deep. You know, you want to be new and innovative and relevant. Of course, that's the end goal I think people want to get to. But what I'm suggesting is you can't just jump into this and build things tomorrow that are going to get you there. And I think you need to think about, where are you really as an organization, and what's the best path forward that you can experiment with and learn from to ultimately be relevant for your customers. And why is that important? And I think you can each think of a lot of different examples where when you start talking new channels and fancy new approaches, you get the shiny object syndrome. And a lot of people wear this button sometimes. This can be very, very dangerous. And how many times have you think of approaches where somebody built something really interesting and new and different that had no link to any underlying core program, or where you wind up? Now tomorrow, this may be where you want to be. But it's not tomorrow in terms of the future for your approach, because you wind up on an island. And I think going back to the practical implications of driving change within an organization, a lot of new initiatives fail because people go off and build the shiny object and they don't link it back to an integrated campaign or integrated communication platform. Kevin talked earlier about having a solutions-based focus and supporting the experience. And I think that's a good framework to apply as you think about how we put new approaches forward. But it's got to link to something. And you have to have some reason as to why you're doing what you're doing.